Hey, is anybody else a little weak, but I'm going to let it slide, all right? You know, we're just getting back into this. Is anybody glad that you walked down 23 stairs to get into church today? Anybody? You get your workout on just to get into church. Like you've already worked out. That's a win right there. But anyway, I just need to start out and say, I love our worship team. These guys are so good every week. You know, Laney over here and Josh, who drives like an hour to get here, and Phil, these are my people. I love our worship team. And we normally kind of skip over our production team. We have the best production team ever. I'm so thankful for those guys in the back who run all this stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, but the production team has all this fancy new stuff now. They have fancy lights up here that move. And at one point during the worship today, I was pretty sure I got shot with a laser beam in my eye. I'm pretty sure I looked over and someone in this section was doing the Matrix move to get under a laser beam. I made that last part up. But I'm not making up that I do really love our online family. I love our production team who makes everything go to our online family. And so thankful for you guys. And we have people who are joining us right now watching online. And so here's some people tuning in right now. Carol Toomey, Vernon Miller from Linden, Virginia. Hap, Crystal, Carol Davis, Jeannie Clark. Lots of people joining us online. And so can you guys just one more time to get rowdy for our online family? Woo! I met some new people already this morning walking in. And so if this is your first time here, I just want to say welcome to church. My name is Joel, and everyone around you, including myself, we are so glad that you're here. And if you are new, you picked a perfect Sunday to be here because we're in a series of talks right now, and we're talking about you. And so I know you're sitting next to some people. Can you just break the ice and just turn to them if you know them and say, I guess everything's about you. I guess everything's about you. All right, turn back to them and say, no, it's about me. Get it right or I will church chop you. And show them the church chopper. Show them the church chopper. Just kidding. All right, we're gonna have some fun today. Hey, before we get rolling, I feel like I should just relieve the tension in the room because the Ravens are playing the Eagles today. So we got the Eagles fan in the yeah. All right. So where are the Ravens fans at? Woo! Where are the Eagles fans at? They're always louder than us, Darryl. What is wrong? Anyway, listen, the game's not until 1, so we can be friends until 1. But after that, it's on. All right, it's on. Hey, I started out last Friday with an amazing, my Friday started out amazing. And I'm a little biased because Friday's my day off. But can't we agree that Friday is one of the best days of the week? Isn't that one of the best days of the week? I know in 2020, everything's supposed to be equal and you're not supposed to have any favorites. But we got to agree that Friday is better than Wednesday. Right? It's not called TGI Wednesdays, right? It's, come on, Fridays. And so I love Fridays. And last Friday, it started out great because, number one, my kids woke up on time on a school day. They will wake up on time on a non-school day every time. But on a school day, it's these kids want to sleep all of a sudden. And so on a school day, they woke up on time. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's a parent win. And then I made my kids scrambled eggs for breakfast before school. And for our entire life, or my daughter's entire life, she's always told me that her Mimi's scrambled eggs are better than my scrambled eggs. But last Friday, she said that my scrambled eggs were almost as good as Mimi's. I was like, almost? That's a win. I will take that. And so she had scrambled eggs. My kids had scrambled eggs. I got them to the school bus on time, which I may or may not have been late the other day because I had to go to the gas station and get myself a Mountain Dew, okay? So I feel the judgment. But I got them to school on time, or to the school bus stop on time last Friday. And so I'm having this amazing Friday morning. And right after I dropped them off at the school bus stop, I went to do a run on a trail I've never been on near my house called the James Farm Ecological Trail. Anybody been on the James Farm Ecological Trail? Oh, yeah, we got one person in the James Farm. Listen, I don't know who, just yes, okay. I don't know who James is, but he's got a great trail. It is amazing. And so I'm out there, and if you can go on, it's in Ocean View. If you can go on this trail, it's great because there's all these trails that go right out to the bay. There's this beautiful beach right out on the bay, and you can see the Indian River Inlet Bridge, and there's all these bridges that you run on the trail, and there's a few parts of the trail where there's downed trees which gave me like a moment to be like American Ninja Warrior because I was like running and jumping over stuff. I would have rolled, but I can't roll. I'm 37 now. But I'm having a great time out on this trail. I did step in deer droppings, but we were in nature, people, okay? So it was all good. My Friday's going great. And I ran 4 miles, which doesn't have anything to do with the story, but I just thought you should know how many miles I ran. And I get back to my car, and I pick up my phone. And have you ever, like, not had your phone on you for a while, and when you pick up your phone, there's so many missed calls and texts that you're like, oh, no, something went wrong. Something went wrong. Has that ever happened to you? My phone was in my car, and I'm pretty sure the whole run, it was, like, vibrating across my seat. There's all these texts and calls, and they were from my kid's school. So as a parent, I'm like, oh, no, what's going on? I'm all sorts of nervous. And the very first voicemail that I got was from my boy Nixon's teacher, and she said, Mr. Tice, this is Nixon's teacher, and you are on our emergency contact list, and we have an emergency. And I was like, oh, my goodness, like, what happened? What did he do? You know, I don't know. And she said, the emergency is Nixon showed up to school today in illegal flip-flops. And I was like, And she said, his flip-flops did not have a strap on the back, and that's illegal. And do you not know the flip-flop policy? Guys, do I look like I know the flip-flop policy? True story, I had 4 voicemails and 3 text messages about the illegal flip-flops, you guys. The school counselor called about the flip-flops, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Nixon's going to need to be in therapy. The school counselor is now calling me, and she's like, Nixon's dad, do you not know the school policy on flip-flops? And I'm like, no, Dad, in the history of dads knows the school policy on flip-flops. That's something mothers know, right? That's a mother thing, okay? So anyway, I'm all freaked out. I get in my car. I run home. I get a pair of shoes to take to Nixon because they wanted a pair of shoes to be brought in. Were the shoes I got legal shoes? I don't know. I don't know the shoe policy either, but I grabbed some shoes. I run them to the school, and I hadn't been in the school, and so I didn't know what door to go to enter the school. But I am wearing a pair of shoes with deer droppings on them. I got a bag of Nixon shoes in one hand. There's the sun, the glare is on the window of the door, so I can't see through it. So I'm like standing there like this with my deer droppings, with my shoe in my hand, and out busts a security guard, and he's like, who are you and why you got a bag of shoes? I'm like, I am the dad who everybody in this school is talking about. I am Nixon's dad. He's like, oh, Nixon's dad, I know all about you. And I'm like, I'm going to get arrested. I don't know. And anyway, he's like, I need to see some identification to take those shoes to Nixon. And I'm thinking, like, I don't think anybody else is randomly dropping off Nixon's shoes. But I got out my, like, license and registration, and I'm all nervous. I'm like, I'm the world's worst dad and officer. I had deer poo on my shoe right now. Okay, please let me in here. And anyway, long story short, dad's in the room. Where are the dads at in the room? Okay, we're going to have a dad tip moment right now. If the flip-flops don't have a strap, put them back. If the flip-flops don't have a strap, put them back. If the flip-flops don't have a strap, put them back. Let's all say this together. If the flip-flops don't have a strap, put them back. I just saved the dad some embarrassment right there. But here's my point. In 2020, your ID is a big deal. Your identity, you got to be able to prove who you are, okay? Because, like, if you want to get in your kid's school because you sent them to school in illegal flip-flops, you need your identification. If you get pulled over, how many of you ever gotten pulled over before? Come on. Just point at the person next to you like you're married to the person who gets pulled over all the time. If you've ever gotten pulled over for taking an illegal turn on the avenue, this would be my wife, okay? What do they say? License and registration, right? If you wanted to order that 5-gallon jug of mustard you've always wanted from Amazon Prime Day this week, you need your username and password, don't you? And have you ever noticed, like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but have you ever, like, gone to a website to put in your password and it says incorrect password? Does that happen to you? And you're like, no, that's the right password. And so, like, you put your password in again, okay? And some of you, your password is like, you're like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter. Mom and dad, if you're watching. Anyway, you put in your password, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it says incorrect password. Again, you need to reset your password. And you're like, oh my goodness. And so you go to reset your password. And so you put in the password you thought it was in the first place. And you hit enter. And then it says, we're sorry, you can't use your current password as your new password. Please choose a new password. And you're like, I just put that password in 2 seconds ago. Anyway, I get passionate about these things. But in 2020, your identity is a big deal. We got security everywhere. We got passwords for everything. You got to register to come to church, people, which thank you so much for doing that. But part of the reason that your security or your identity is a big deal is so that your identity doesn't get stolen. And if you've ever been a victim of like identity theft, like that's the worst right there, right? But did you know that you can also have your spiritual identity stolen? We're all worried about like somebody hacking into our bank account or our usernames or passwords and getting victim identity theft insurance. But the worst identity theft that can happen to you is for your spiritual identity to get stolen. And do you know what can hack into your spiritual identity? Your past can hack into your spiritual identity. Trying to please other people can hack into your spiritual identity, failures, disappointments. And what happens when these things hack into our spiritual identity is we start to fill in this blank with, oh, you are your past. You are those failures. You are those disappointments. You think, I'm going to be single forever. Which, by the way, if you are single, we are starting a brand new Bayshore group for single people. Which is great. If you're single, you need to sign up for it. Now, this is not a group to like meet it's not like a group to find your future person, but you might find your future person. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Anyway, you can register at bayshore.online for our new Bayshore singles group. But anyway, side story. If you're like me, you look at this and you're like, I am the world's worst dad. I sent my kid to school in illegal flip-flops. And we fill in this blank with all these different things, but there's some good news in all this. Because the Bible reminds us over and over and over again what our actual identity is. And the Bible says that we have a different identity, and our identity that we have, according to the Bible, is that you are God's. You are God's, and that's what we're going to talk about today, that you are God's. And I want to show you 1 John 3, verse 1, and I love what John says here about our identity. John says this, he says, see how very much our Father loves us, for he calls us his children. And that is what we are. Come on, you guys are just sitting there like, oh, okay. Listen, see how much our Father loves us, for he calls us his children. That is what we are. Our culture loves to say who you are is like, your neighborhood you live in, it's your relationship status, it's your skin color, who you are is your kid's Uber driver. Moms, hello. But when you look at this, that is not who you are, okay? You are God's. You are in his family. I checked Ancestry.com this morning, and your name is in God's family. It is verified. You are in. And so I love this idea that you are in God's family. And because you're in God's family, that means you aren't your past, you aren't your failures, you aren't your mistakes, you are who he says you are. And the reason I think that matters so much, that we get this idea that you are God's, is because this is a big idea for today. You will never be the best version of you if all you see is the wrong version of you. You'll never be the best version of you if all you see is the wrong version of you. And so I'm going to introduce you to the best version of you today. I want to help you with your spiritual identity, and I want to give you 2 ideas so you don't become the victim of identity theft today. And so here's the first one. The first one is you need to update your profile pic. Update your profile pic. Some of you are on Facebook right now like, okay, I'm on it, Joel. Okay, I'm on it. Let me introduce this idea with a question. Have you ever seen a news headline online or somewhere, and the news headline is so grabbing, like you have to click it? It's like an out-of-body experience. You're like, oh, Bat Boy is in the grocery store? Like you click the thing. And so, sorry, that was something I used to see in the grocery store. Remember like the National Enquirer, like Bat Boy spotted in Hollywood? It's just me. Okay, let's move on. Anyway, the article that I saw that I'm referencing here is a true story. Over the summer, I saw an article headline from the Cape Gazette, and it said, Lewis man wrestles shark in Cape Henlopen State Park. I was like, oh, I am going to click this right now. Like, I have to click it. Now, I'll be honest, when I saw this article, okay, and I clicked on it, I thought I would see anything when I clicked on it other than a Lewis man wrestling a shark in Cape Henlopen State Park. I thought there was a better chance of seeing somebody's pet cat riding on the back of a shark than that I would actually see a Lewis man wrestling a shark in Cape Henlopen State Park. So I clicked on the link, and you guys want to see the first picture I saw when I clicked on this link? Okay, true story. This is the first picture I saw right here. Did anybody else see this picture this summer? My first thought was, how did the Cape Gazette get a picture of me? Just kidding, that's not me. My biceps are bigger than that, right, Darryl? Yes, okay. No, but I saw this, and immediately I was like, this guy who looks like Rambo, I thought, I want to be this man. And not just because his biceps are massive, but because he's wrestling a shark in Cape Henlopen State Park, people. And does anybody want to know the story, like what happened here? Okay, here's the story. What happened? All right, this guy was fishing on the drive-on beach at Cape Henlopen State Park, and the article doesn't say, but I assume he's probably driving a Jeep. Because, come on, can't we just assume he's probably driving a Jeep? Can we have more Jeeps out on Route 1? I do not think we can. The other day, I tried to give somebody a Jeep wave in my Civic. I did the thing. They did not let me in their club. It did not go over well. So anyway, this guy, probably in a Jeep, he's at Cape Henlopen State Park. He's fishing. He hooks into a shark. And I didn't know this, but there's a rule, a law, that you are not allowed to reel the shark up onto the beach to unhook the shark. And so what most people do is they cut the line, and then the shark swims off, but it always has a hook in its mouth. But Biceps here, we're going to call him Biceps, if that's okay with you. Biceps, when he hooks into a shark, he doesn't want to leave a hook in the shark's mouth forever, because Biceps is a sensitive man, you guys. And so Biceps literally hooks into a shark, jumps in the water with a live shark in Cape Henlopen State Park. He wrestles the shark to get the hook out of the shark's mouth so the shark can swim away happy and hookless and just have the greatest life ever. Biceps. All the single ladies are like, I am going to Facebook stalk this man so bad when I get home. But just for the record, I just want to put this out there. If there's ever a picture of me taken where I'm wrestling a shark and saving its life at the same time, that will become my Facebook profile picture. That will become my Instagram profile picture. I'll probably start a LinkedIn account just for it to be my Facebook profile picture. We'll put it on our church website. We will probably get a monument of me wrestling the shark and put it out in the church foyer. I'm just saying. And here's why. Because we want our profile pictures to be the most impressive version of ourselves. Isn't that true? We want it to be us, like wrestling a shark. Or you want it to be like that family Christmas photo where your kids actually look like they love each other. Or you want it to be like you in your garden that you have at home, surrounded by all your pet chickens, and you're holding up like a perfect piece of kale that you grew yourself. You know, that's what we want the profile picture to be, right? Have you ever seen somebody put up a profile picture of their dead garden because they forgot to water it all summer long? No. Have you ever seen somebody put up a profile picture like first moment they waked up and there's like bags under their eyes the size of the Indian River Inland Bridge? Did I put a profile picture up of me standing at the Lord Baltimore School with a bag of shoes in my hand with deer poo on my foot? Like, did I do that? No. Why? Because we want our profile picture to be the most impressive version of ourselves. That's the me we want you to see. And that is what's called our public identity. And everybody in here, you have a public identity, but you also have a private identity. That's what you don't post about. Hello. That's what you don't want other people to see. That's the 1,700 other Christmas pictures where your kids were like wrestling in their turtlenecks before you got the one good one that turned out. That's the one you don't put up, right? And so it's the me we want others to see. We got our private identity. We have our public identity. But you have a God identity. And your God identity is the most impressive version of yourself. And that's the me I want you to see, is your God identity. And your God identity is who God says you are. And this is so good, okay? Just lean into this. This is who God says you are. God says you are forgiven. He says you are loved. He says you are accepted. He says you are important. He says you are a masterpiece. He says you are talented. He says you are a big deal. Even if your biceps aren't as big of a deal as that shark wrestler, he says you're a big deal because he sacrificed his son for you. That is your God identity right there. And I think our God identity is so important because so many times we're so worried about what everybody else thinks about us in our public identity. You know, Dave Ramsey says, like, we go and buy like a new car so we can sit at the stoplight and impress people we don't even know next to us. You know, we're like, you see it? Yeah, just got it. Oh, you don't know me? Okay, all right. So like we try to impress people with our public identity. We carry guilt and shame from our private identity. But the most important identity you can have is your God identity. His opinion of you is what matters the most. And I said this in the last service, but God's opinion of you matters the most. But besides God, I really think there's only a handful of people in your life whose opinion of you actually matters. You know, like your crazy Uncle Eddie, who you only see once a year at Christmas, does his opinion of your love life matter, yes or no? No. Okay, and plus, crazy Uncle Eddie, he's probably been wearing the same windbreaker pants to Christmas since 1997, you know what I mean? And so he doesn't know about your love life, and so his opinion of your love life doesn't necessarily matter. I think there's only a handful of people in your life whose opinion of you actually matters. I said this 2 years ago, but I think you can fit the people whose opinion of you actually matters on a Post-it note. And the reason why I think that's important for you to know is because I have this life philosophy that I am never going to believe people who are never going to believe in me. And we a lot of times believe other people's opinions of us who are never going to believe in us, but the people who never believe in me, I don't want to believe their opinions. So a few years ago, I sat down and I just thought about the people in my life whose opinion I actually like, their opinion of me really matters to me. So if they say to me, hey, Joel, you need to straighten up, I'm going to straighten up because they're my people. All right, if they're like, you know, they're the people who will come and rescue me at midnight in the middle of a snowstorm because I can't get out in my 13-year-old Honda Civic, okay? So these are my people. I sat down and I thought about these people whose opinion of me actually matters, and I wrote their name down on a Post-it note. And I carry around that Post-it note with me everywhere I go. And so I have it in my wallet right now, and I've carried this around with me for 2 years. And these are the people who, like, these are my people. Right here. How many of you know you got some people? Like, they got your back. Those are your people. These are my people. And maybe you're thinking, like, is my name on this list? Maybe. Are you a Steelers fan? Probably not. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I have this because if somebody tells me their opinion about me or somebody lets me know how they feel about me out on Route 1, you ever had somebody, like, let you know how they feel about you on Route 1? And you think about it, okay? What I try to do is I try to just pull this thing out and I look for their name. And if their name isn't on this list, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you because you're not on the Post-it note. Because I don't want to believe the people who are never going to believe in me. And so like a few years ago, I was in Michael's over here, getting my craft shop on. Don't you just like to picture your pastor in the paint aisle, you know, at the Michael's? And so I was over here at Michael's, and I saw this person who had years before told me their opinion of me as a pastor, and it was not good. All right, like I'm pretty sure they wanted me to get eaten by that shark in Cape and Lopez State Park. It was not good. And so when I saw them, like, you ever seen somebody and like you feel that moment where you're like, oh no, you feel it? Like, I feel like I heard the Jaws music in Michael's. I'm just like in there with the paintbrushes, and it's like da-na, da-na, da-na. And I'm just trying to like get my craft shop on, and I feel like I'm getting chased by Jaws in the Michael's. And like I'm all, my blood pressure is rising, like I just feel warm, you know, it's just like you just feel like, you feel their presence, you feel their opinion just weighing on you. And then I just remembered, they're not on my Post-it note. They're not on the list. I literally looked at the list and I'm like, oh, I'm good. They didn't make it to the Post-it note. And so I think everybody here today, should go home and you should get a Post-it note. And I think you should think about your people, the people who, like, when they say something to you, you lean in. And I think you should write their name down on a Post-it note, and you should put it in your purse, you should put it in your wallet, put it in your man purse. I don't know, I'm not here to judge. Whatever you got, put it in that. And then when somebody tells you their opinion of you, pull out your Post-it note, because you never want to believe the people who are never going to believe in you. But let me say this. The name that should be at the top of everybody's Post-it note is God's. It is his opinion of you that matters the most. It's his opinion of me. It's his opinion of all of us that matters the most. And I think so many times we miss out on what God's opinion is of us because all we're thinking about is other people's opinion of us. And so maybe, just maybe, God wants to remind somebody today, hey, you need to put a filter over your profile picture of who I say you are. Maybe you're worried about your past, or you're worried about, not having a perfect life. And God's like, listen, I know about your life, and I chose you anyway. I said you're my child anyway. So many times where we're looking out for number one because we're just trying to figure out how to get through this. But you have a God you serve who, number one, is looking out for you. That's your identity. And so when you see someone out and about that's getting you all hot and bothered because they said something about you, pull out your list and remember that at the top of that list is God's name because his opinion of you matters the most. And the reason that's important is because you'll never have the best version of you if you miss out on who God says you are. And so we got to remember who God says we are. We got to put his identity over our profile picture. So I need everybody, we're all going to take a profile picture right now. And everybody to right now, just give me one of these. Come on, this side did not do it. All right. There it is. It really wasn't good enough to make your profile picture, but it was good. Okay, it was good. These were good. All right, so update your profile picture. The last idea, so you're not a victim of identity theft, is to live like you got a new name. Live like you have a new name. Now, I'm an 80s kid, born in 1982. And in the 80s, the only name that really mattered was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Come on, Arnold. Anybody into Arnold back in the day? Listen, the Predator, Terminator, Kindergarten Cop. Now, for the record, I was not allowed to watch any of those movies as a kid growing up. I'm a preacher's kid, and we weren't allowed to watch the Smurfs. So my mom was definitely not putting Terminator 2 in the VHS player, people. But Terminator 2 is the first R-rated movie I ever saw as a kid growing up, and it was not at my house. It was fourth grade, and I was at my friend Kurt's house, and we sat down, watched Terminator 2, and true story, I was so freaked out because I watched this movie, and I knew I wasn't supposed to, that the moment the movie ended, I called my parents for them to come get me, because I was sure that the Terminator or the Lord was going to get me. I did not know which, but I knew somebody was coming to get me. I was going to get terminated. But I love Arnold now that I've kind of like looked into him. He's got some pretty wise things to say nowadays. And I saw this exchange he had with this guy on a website called Reddit. And Arnold, by the way, he posted a workout of himself, all these things that people can do, like to follow the Arnold workout, which can I just say, I don't think people should recreationally be trying Arnold's workout. But he posted a workout on this website called Reddit, and this guy commented, and they have a little exchange, Arnold and this guy. This guy up here says, I know this is pandering, talking to Arnold, but I've been depressed for months and haven't hit the gym during that time. Mr. Schwarzenegger, can you please tell me to get off my backside, edited for church, my backside, and hit the gym? I swear to everything I hold dear that I will snap out of it and go. Now, here's how Arnold Schwarzenegger responded. He said, I'm not going to be that hard on you. Please don't be that hard on yourself. We all go through challenges. We all go through failure. Sometimes life is a workout. But the key thing is you get up, just move a little, roll out of bed and do some push-ups or go for a walk. Just do something one step at a time. I hope you feel better and get back to the gym. But don't beat yourself up because that's just useless talk. It doesn't get you closer to the gym. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Good luck. I read that and I'm like, the Terminator is dropping some wisdom nuggets. Isn't that like some solid advice right there? And if somebody asks you like what you talked about in church today, just tell them we talked about shark wrestling and Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Just let them know. But here's why I'm bringing Arnold into this. I'm bringing Arnold into this because sometimes we get in a rut, just kind of like this guy up top. We get in a workout rut. Anybody ever been in a workout rut? Sometimes, maybe you're like, I'm in a workout rut my whole life. Like, I just don't do it. Don't like it. We get in a workout rut. We get in a marriage rut sometimes, a money rut, I'm single rut, a job rut, I'm a failure rut. If you're an Eagles fan, you're in all sorts of a rut this year. It's all right. It's going to continue on after church today. Anyway, but we get in ruts. And I'm going to quote Arnold Schwarzenegger here. I can't believe I'm going to do this in church. I am sorry, Mom. But don't beat yourself up when you're in a rut. That's just useless talk. And maybe God wants to remind somebody today, like Arnold said, you got to get up, you got to move a little, you got to do something and take one step at a time. You got to get up, you got to move a little. Somebody move a little. Come on, just let me see you move a little bit. Your cha-cha-cha. Okay, that's good. Move a little, do something, take one step at a time. In other words, if when you're in a rut, you got to start living again. You got to live like you have a new start, like you have a new name. I love 2 Corinthians 5:17, maybe my favorite verse in the Bible, and it's from a guy named Paul, and this is what he says about this new you. He says this, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. The old is gone, the new is here. Is anybody glad that the old you is gone and the new is here? Anybody glad at all? And the old you could be the you drove to church in here today. You're like yelling at people. Listen, the old is gone. The new is here. And just one thing you need to know about our church, if you're new around here, when you mess up, we're not the church that points our finger at you. We're the church that holds our hand out to you to help pick you up. And to say, hey, that's what you did. Yeah, but that's not who you are. Don't beat yourself up. That's just useless talk. You got to get up. You got to get moving. You got to do something, okay? Because around here, you aren't your worst moment. You aren't your past. You know, I think so often we think, hey, who I am is I'm my eating disorder, or I'm the guy who ran a business and my business failed, or I'm the hothead who's always yelling at people out on Route 1, or I'm the person who got divorced, or I'm the person with the mental health issues, and like we think that's who we are, but that's around here, that is not who you are. We see a new you because God sees a new you. And so, don't beat yourself up. That's just useless talk. You got to get up. You got to do something. You got to move a little bit and just take one step at a time. Why? Because you are God's. You are new. And that is your God identity. You aren't a failure. What God says you are is he says you are loved, you are forgiven, you are accepted, you are important, you are talented, you are his masterpiece. He created you in his image, and we got to get the right version of ourselves, because if we believe the wrong version of ourselves, then we'll never be the best version of ourselves. If all we see is the wrong version of ourselves, we'll never be the best version of ourselves. So today, we're going to end with a video. And I saw this video on Monday, and it was on YouTube. And when I hit play, I did not know what I was about to click. Just kind of like when I watched or went to the Cape Gazette article. Okay, I did not know what I was going to click when I watched this video. Now, warning: this video is 7 minutes long. I was watching it. I'm like, is this Ben here? Her? Is Charlton Heston going to pop out in the middle of this YouTube video? Like it was so long, but it was so good. By the end of it, I wanted to like fist pump and cry at the same time. I felt like I could wrestle a shark, but I needed some tissues to wipe away my man tears as I was wrestling the shark. And so this is a spoken word piece by this girl named Hosanna. And I didn't feel like I should do it for you because I have zero rhythm, okay? Zero rhythm. But this spoken word piece, if you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like your spiritual identity has been stolen, if you feel like some labels have been put on you, I'm telling you, I think this is going to be so important for you. And so I would have flown this girl in to do this live, but it wasn't in the budget. So we're watching a video, people. So just sit back and watch this video.
God spends a lot of time in the Bible telling us who we are. It's almost as if he knew that we would doubt who that was from time to time. It's as if he saw it coming, that we'd spend our whole lives searching for what our identity, what our real name was, and that there'd be many moments in our lives where we let different kinds of names define us. When we've looked in the mirror, compared ourselves to pictures, and heard the name ugly. When we've been left by loved ones, people we trusted once, and heard the name unworthy. When we've been drowning in discouragement, living in a seemingly never-ending crisis, and heard the name forgotten. When we've had our hopes up and our hearts open, only to be brought down by closed doors, and we've heard rejected. When we've looked for infinite, affirming love through lesser physical, fleshly versions. When we gave it away, or when it was stolen, and we heard impure. We heard garbage. When we go to other vices to ease our pain, and we hear addict, we hear forever broken. When we feel like we're living in the shadow of someone else's calling, and we hear second place. When our pain cripples us to a point where we don't even know how to let others in, and we hear lonely. When our past seems too gross for others to forgive, and we hear disgusting. It's overwhelming. These voices we're constantly hearing. It's suffocating. This air of constant critique and comparing, and it's sort of amazing. The people whose voices I've allowed to name me. The power I've given to my past, to my mirror, and to my surroundings, and enabled them to identify me. The amount of years I've spent living up to whatever others say over me. But God says something else about me. It's like he knew there would be other voices. So he wrote his voice down in a timeless book of truths that would remind us over and over again in the moments when lies would block his truths and somehow make us forget. I'm going back to the source, not the people I've allowed to represent God to me, but the actual, literal, tangible words that he has written down for me. And there's some other names he's given to me. John 15:15, he calls me friend. 1 Thessalonians 1:4, he calls me chosen. Ephesians 2:10, he calls me his workmanship. He calls me his art. He calls me handmade. He calls me purposed and fashioned for good things. 1 Corinthians 6:19, he calls my body a temple. He calls it the residence of the Holy Spirit. Acts 1:8, he calls me his messenger to the world. Galatians 3:26, he calls me his child. Romans 5:8, he calls me greatly loved. John 8:36, he calls me free, free indeed. 2 Corinthians 5:17, he calls me brand new. And it's amazing how different these names are from the names I'm used to listening to. And in my journey to discover who I really am, in my battle to uncover the truths of myself, I've learned something new about my name. And now this is what I am certain of. My name is not the name the world calls me. My name is not the name my past calls me. My name is not even the name my own mirror calls me. But my name is the name I answer to. And I can choose today, from this moment forward, to answer to a new name. When I hear lonely, that's not me. When I hear disgusting, that's not me. When I hear unworthy, I don't even look over my shoulder. When I hear broken, they must have confused me. Please look elsewhere. When I hear ugly, abandoned, useless, forgotten, I figure someone just has to remind them. Maybe those were my old names, but they're no longer the names that I respond to. My name is the name I've chosen to spend my days living up to. And if these other voices are not saying the same thing that the truth is, I look in my mirror and I repeat this: they have no right to be speaking to you. When you stop answering to your old names, they stop having power over you. The names that my Father, eternity's author, the world's creator has called me are the only names that I answer to. When I hear friend of God, that's my name. God's workmanship, that's my name. Chosen, that's my name. Loved, wanted, created with a purpose, that's my name. God's temple, that's my name. God's messenger, that's my name. Free, that's my name. Child of God, you must be looking for me. Greatly loved, you must be calling for me. Brand new, that is my name. That is the name that I respond to. The enemy has no power here. Perfect love casts out fear, and perfect love has named me and you. So what is your new name? What is stirring up inside of you when you hear these words that his word, that the word has proclaimed? What do you know is the name God is calling you? Maybe it's not the name you grew up with. Maybe it's not the name your old friends associate you with. Maybe it's not the name that your whole life you were used to identifying with, but it's the name you now answer to. So when the enemy tries to get to you, it's the name you introduce yourself with. As for me, my name is forgiven. My name is free. My name is brand new, loved, wanted, child of God, created with a purpose. And it's been a pleasure to meet you.
How good is that right there? I think we walk into church and we have all these names and labels and we have all these thoughts of who we are and what other people think we are. And I just want you to walk out of here today with a different name. I want you to walk out of here today knowing that's not who you are. We sang this song earlier today that we're about to sing, and I love the words of this song because it says, you're chosen, not forsaken. That's who God says you are. It says, God's for me, not against me. That's who God says you are. And I want you to sing these words as we walk out of here today. And I want you to know that you are chosen. You're not forsaken. God is for you. When he sees you, he sees someone who's forgiven. When you're a Jesus follower, you are loved. You are accepted. You are in. He looks at you and you're a masterpiece. It doesn't matter what you think of you. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. It doesn't matter what people in your family have said about you, what mistakes you have made. You are who God says you are. That's the identity that every single one of us needs to have. Jesus, we're so thankful that we are yours and you call us your children. And God, I know that we walk in here and a lot of times that's the last thing we see. We see everything else but who you see in us. But God, I just pray that we will see what you see. And thank you for your son, Jesus, who puts that filter over all of us so that you see someone who's forgiven, you see someone who's loved, you see someone who's accepted. And God, that is the greatest gift we could ever be given. And God, we want to be the version of you that you want us to be. And we can't do that when we see the wrong version of us. And so help us to walk out of here with the identity you gave us. Help us not to be the victim of spiritual identity theft anymore. We can walk out of here knowing who we are because we are who you said we are. In Jesus' name, amen.